I lost $100,000. It's horrible. I can't believe it. It happened to me, and it can easily happen to you. Hi, my name is Jorge Montoya, and welcome again to Own Your Future. The main goal of this channel is to help you succeed in some of the areas that I've failed and succeeded at. And today, we're talking about how I lost 100 grand. Can you believe it? I'm so mad at myself, and I'm like almost speechless. I'm almost speechless because this happened to me. So before we go any further and explain on how I lost 100 grand, let me share 5 things that you could have done with the $100,000, because that's actually a lot more fun. So the number one thing you could have done with the $100,000 is buy a jetpack. Can you imagine? You're going up to Tahoe, you get a jetpack, and you're floating around above the lake in a powered jetpack. That'd be pretty stinking awesome. Number 2 thing you could have done with the 100 grand is you could have rented a private jet and flown it 3 times anywhere you want, any exotic place. Private VIP jet that you could have gotten for 100 grand. Number 3, you could have rolled like Tupac and Biggie or Puff Daddy or 50 Cent and had your own private security for 1 whole year. Can you imagine? Rolling up to Chuck E. Cheese with security? That'd be kind of funny and be pretty cool. The number 4 thing you could have done with $100,000 is you could have actually purchased Kobe Bryant's championship ring from the 2000 year. And the number 5 thing you could have done with $100,000 is propose 40 times at Dodger Stadium. Now, hopefully you don't have to go through that and propose 40 times, but it's pretty stinking cool to know that you could have done that at Dodger Stadium. Now, here's the problem. We've talked about what 100 grand could have gotten you. Now let's talk about how I lost 100 grand, which pains me to think about this, but hey, life happens to us all. So here's the problem. When I was 19 years old, just like everyone out there, I wanted my own independence, my own pad, my own place where I could have parties, invite girls, have fun, do whatever it is that I wanted and not have to follow mom and dad's rules. Well, my friends, I wanted that freedom, and that freedom comes with the price. So for 9 years, from the moment I moved out of my parents' home, which was at the age of 19, all the way up until the age of 28, which is when I finally opened my eyes and had the realization that I could do something more, I rented. And yes, I rented a house and then an apartment and then another house and then a different apartment. And during that 9-year span, I spent over $100,000 in rental payments. And guess what? When it came time for me to leave, I got zero of it back. That sucks. That did not feel good. That was not exciting, and that's what it is. That's what it is, right? 9 years, spent that much money, and I'm sure the landlords who I rented from, because I was always very punctual, even though I was scraping pennies to pay that rent payment, I was always punctual. They sure loved me, because by the time I walked out, I helped them pay down their mortgages substantially. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Jorge, well, you're not really telling me something I don't know. What we want to do is own our own personal future, right? So here's the 3 things you can do immediately to end the rent cash giveaway. So step number 1, take control. Now that sounds really simple, but it takes discipline. So picture this. Picture that your home and your household, your family, whether it's you, your wife, and your kids, or you and your roommates, or you and your brother, you and whoever lives in your home, picture that you guys are a corporation. Let's talk about a corporation. When you look at big companies, they know every dollar that is needed to keep their doors open. And now I'm sure you've heard the word embezzlement. Nobody likes that word, right? That means we're taking the company money and using it for the wrong things and not necessarily what the company wants you to use it for. And what I've realized, when we don't take control and we don't identify our survival number, which I'll explain in a second, we are embezzling our own personal finances. Isn't that crazy? How excited are you about robbing money from your family? I wasn't excited about it until I learned this system, but now here's what you do. So picture your family as a corporation. And what we have to identify is what we call the survival number. Now your survival number is your monthly obligations that you need to be paid every single month in order for your corporation or your household to keep its doors open. Now, what makes up the survival number is your basic monthly expenses. No luxuries, okay? So I'm talking basic expenses. Your rent payment, your car, your auto insurance, your groceries, your gasoline, your cell phone, your electricity, your internet, all these monthly obligations. Now, the reason I say no luxury things is because we all get haircuts and we all buy clothes and shoes and all these other things. But if things got tight, you're probably not gonna cut your hair once a week. If things got tight, you're probably not gonna do a manicure every other week. You're gonna tighten up your numbers. So to identify your survival number, you need to look at your monthly expenses and identify what your rent is and your car and your insurance and all the things I just mentioned, and that becomes your survival number. Now you've got a target. Now you know how much money you need to generate every single month in order to keep your corporation running, and therefore not embezzle, right? The number 2 thing I want you to do is to establish a simple money tracking system. I think a lot of the times we overthink it and we want these like fancy forms and applications, and even though some of those things are good, let's keep it simple. The easier, the better. So I was taught this simple money management system years ago, and it's really helped me to eliminate debt, increase my savings, and really to stop wasting money. It's amazing how the average American these days doesn't realize that they're losing hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for lack of financial discipline. So we gotta get tough. We gotta implement a simple money tracking system. So here's the system. It's a 3-step process. So number 1, get a checking account. And I'm sure you probably already have a checking account, but don't get confused. Or as some people say, don't get it twisted. The checking account is only designed to receive your monthly income, your direct deposit, and to pay out expenses. That is it. The checking account was never designed as a savings account. It's amazing how so many people overdraft their accounts because they're mixing everything. Their monthly expenses and their play money is coming all out of the same account, and it gets messy, and then you've got overdrafts. So the number 1, establish a checking account and only use that as your direct deposit, and only use that as a method of paying your monthly obligations. The number 2 thing you need to do is establish a savings account. Now, really important, any money left over from the checking account, because we're only going to leave enough money here to pay your monthly obligations, needs to be moved into the savings account. Now, do yourself a favor and throw the debit card connected to the savings account away. Do not look at that. Do not use it, because the whole point of that savings account is to make it grow. Make it grow and eventually have enough money for whatever it is that you want to do, whatever that goal is. The number 3 thing, and this is the game changer, is get yourself one credit card where you can track everything. This credit card is where you're going to pay for your groceries, where you're going to pay for your Starbucks, where you're going to pay for whatever it is that you need. And then at the end of that month, you're going to pay that credit card off. Now, the biggest mistake that people do is they get this credit card, they paid all their monthly obligations, right? Now they've got this $5,000 credit card and they go crazy. They think that they've got $5,000 worth of money that they can just go spend. No, that's not the point with the credit card. The credit card is only meant to track what you're spending and using it as your monthly, your expense report per se. So use the credit card to pay all your monthly, to-dos, right? Like your coffee, your gasoline, your groceries, those kinds of things. By implementing that simple money tracking system, you'll be really able to notice where your money truly is going, and eventually do what we all need to do: cut the fat. Cut the fat. The awesome thing now with technology and credit cards is that you can pull up reports on your online banking and see where your money is being spent. Entertainment, eating out, whatever it may be. So implement that simple money tracking system. The number 3 thing to get rid of the rent cash giveaway is let's get your credit tight, like when you work out, tight. Now don't get all freaked out. I'm not telling you to have an 800 credit score, but you want to get your credit tight, because if your goal is to eventually obtain a property and eventually maybe buy multiple properties, then we need to get your credit tight as possible. So I want to give you 3 sites where you can get your credit checked out. So number 1, actually, start with your banking institution. Most banking institutions these days will give you a free copy of your credit report on demand. Click button, get credit report. Find out where your scores are at and make it your target goal to reach at least 640 in case you want to buy a property. That's a good goal to have. Now, 640 is not the best credit score in the world by far, but it's good enough to open a lot of opportunities for you. The other place you could check your credit is you could go directly to TransUnion.com, Experian.com, or even FreeCreditReport.com. It's really simple. Log in there, enter your information, and then you'll get, boom, a list of accounts under your name and social security number, and also an estimate of your score. It's really important that you keep track of this and look at it at least annually. It's amazing how much identity fraud is going on out there that you don't even realize that you could have a 200 credit score because somebody bought a Bentley and has not made one single payment and your credit is shot. We can't do that. We cannot be negligent. We got to keep an eye on the scores. So the third thing is to check your credit and make sure it's tight. Reach for 640. If you can get above that, awesome. You'll get an even better deal. But 640 will open a lot of opportunities for you. So, in a nutshell, the 3 things recap of what you can do today to end the rent cash giveaway is: number 1, take control, identify your survival number, know how much money it takes to run your family. Number 2, establish a simple money tracking system like I shared. Something simple that works for me is having 1 checking, 1 savings, 1 credit card. With the credit card being used as what I use to pay for everything. And then number 3, get your credit tight. Take a look at it, see where you're at, see what you can clean up, and please don't believe this. Many people, when it comes to credit, think that if you just ignore it, and maybe after 7 years or 4 years it'll just drop off, and that couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of these credit card companies or collections companies could end up reselling that account, which resets that clock, which means you're never going to get rid of that. So do not ignore it. There are professional companies out there that can help you eliminate some of these accounts, but it starts with you wanting to own your future, taking that step, and reaching out to someone that can help you in those areas. So, thank you again for tuning in. Please remember, subscribe. If you like what we had to say today, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please comment below. Your feedback is really important. Or if you think of a topic, something you want me to touch on, please let us know. So please share this video, please like this video, and overall, please subscribe, because we're here to help you own your future.